For the debate, I recognize the member from Guelph.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm both humbled and honored to rise and speak in support of Bill 75, the Emancipation Month Act. And I'd like to thank the members from Kitchener Centre, Scarborough-Gilwood, Barrie-Innisfil for co-sponsoring this bill. And I'd like to thank the House Leader for clearing a path for it to be passed before the House rises. I want to give a special thank you to Dewitt, the founder of Emancipation Month Canada, who initiated this bill. It was so important to Mr. Lee that all four parties co-sponsor this bill. And I believe it is the first bill in Ontario's history to be sponsored by four parties. And for Dewitt, this was an important message to send to the people of Ontario. It builds on the fact that the first co-sponsored bill introduced in Ontario was established Emancipation Day in Ontario. So Dewitt, I know you're watching today, and I just want to say thank you for working so hard on this bill. It's paid off. I want to thank the Ontario Black History Society who contributed to the drafting of this bill. It was truly a collaborative effort with the co-sponsors of the bill. This bill will officially proclaim August as Emancipation Month in Ontario.
Speaker, this opportunity that we have today should not be taken lightly. As legislators and as decision makers, we are responsible, indeed, for the policies and the debates that we have in this House. Today, as a woman, as a Black woman, as an immigrant from Jamaica, I stand in this legislature to speak in support of this very important piece of legislation that would proclaim August as Emancipation Month in Ontario. Emancipation Month not only serves as a celebration of freedom and the expression of identity, but also as an opportunity to reflect on the adversity that characterizes the struggle for human rights as experienced by Black people who were enslaved here.
It is truly an honour to stand in this House and add my voice to those of my colleagues in and outside of this chamber who see and understand, no, who overstand the moment in history that this Emancipation Month Act represents. Mr. Speaker, I would like to share with you, under the auspices of this critically important bill, the reason why this work we do in this chamber to fight for the freedom of Black people is still just as necessary today as it was in 1834. On August 1st, Black communities celebrate Emancipation Day, the anniversary of when Britain's Parliament abolished slavery in the British Empire in 1834. Since being elected, I've spent most Emancipation Days here at Queen's Park. I've been blessed with meeting Dewitt, the founder of Emancipation Month Canada, and I'm humbled by his tenacious advocacy and reminded that what we do in this House is a continuation of the freedom fighting our ancestors have done before us. A fight for freedom that has lasted as long as 1608, when the first enslaved person arrived on the shores of Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, emancipation means more to Black people than simply commemorating the white establishment for bending to the will of freedom fighters who demanded that our enslavement end. Emancipation Day, and now Emancipation Month, should this bill pass and receive royal assent, is not about you, it's about us. It's about Black people finally being able to wake up free. Free in our bodies, free in our minds, and free in our spirits. You see, Mr. Speaker, our shackles were legislated. As Peggy Bristow explained in her chapter entitled Black Women in Buxton and Chatham, 1850 to 65, in the book We're Rooted Here, and They Can't Pull Us Up, Essays in African Canadian Women's History, I quote, "A history of Black women's lives in Canada must start with our arrival here as slaves. Black women, like Black men and like First Nations peoples, were enslaved here, beginning with the 17th century, first by the French and later by the British. We were brought here to labor. And so our original fight was to free our bodies. Bodies relegated to toil over work white Canadians had no interest in doing. Work that my ancestors were forced to do for free, even as capitalism was beginning to take root on stolen Indigenous land. The next step was to free our minds. As Bob Marley has taught us through his powerful prose, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery, none but ourselves can free our minds. Mr. Speaker, our bondage was legislated, and I hope that the swift passage of this bill can serve as a reminder for all of us that our freedom, true, authentic, and complete emancipation can be legislated too. May the bill not trick us into thinking the work is done, but instead may it remind us that we stand on the shoulders of so many freedom fighters who came before us, freedom fighters who had the courage to dream of a life without slavery. Because they dreamed, we're here today.
Introduction of visitors. Once again, the member for Guelph.
Thank you, Speaker. It's a great honor today to welcome. Dewitt is the founder of Emancipation Month Canada and helped all of us write the first bill in Ontario history supported by all 4 political parties for Emancipation Month Canada. He's here for the flag-raising ceremony that will happen on the front yard at noon today, and also to celebrate the International Day for People of African Descent. Dewitt, welcome to the legislature today.